All right, welcome to Spoiler Kings. My name is St. Corinne with Brian the Grizzly, Brandman Brandon, and we're gonna talk about Secret Invasion Episode 6, the finale. Right off the bat, what you guys think?
Am I going first?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
For me personally, it didn't quite stick the landing. The finale felt out of place for me.
Mm-hmm.
The way they ended things, like it didn't quite mesh as well for me with the rest of the season, which had like a very kind of grounded. We've talked about a multitude of times that grounded kind of political thriller, like kind of more realistic in contrast to the rest of the MCU vibe. It just kind of felt like they went with that route out of obligation because they're fearing that everyone expects like a grandiose CG heavy battle.
Yeah.
It felt really out of place. I would have settled for something a little more grounded, in tune with the rest of the series. It wasn't doing it for me. It felt rushed. We could have had 2 more episodes. It failed its entire potential to me.
Yeah. Go. You got right.
All right, so I was waiting for this unbelievable twist, or they're talking to somebody, or a great battle scene, and where Samuel Jackson he's stalling, and then we're gonna have Gaia come out of nowhere, like only guessing 4 brothers when Marky Mark was walking across the whole lake trying to get
ice,
there.
yeah.
We're trying to get to that point or something like that. None of that stuff happened, and I was like, "What the hell? This is so stupid." I was very upset because I thought if they really stuck this ending, this could have been a brilliant show. And it was so bad that this is now one of my bottom 4. Like it takes the total ranking and just drops it so much. And I did
that bad, huh?
This episode made me so upset and then I always thought we were going to get a 52 minute episode. 31, 32 minutes. I was like, what the hell? Why did you do that? And we got nothing out of it.
Why?
It makes no sense.
Why would you do that?
It doesn't make. It's like they almost wanted to hurt yourself. Now, here's another thing. Little things like Rhodey needing help to walk. Where they didn't explain when he was taken. There's so many things that are left unanswered. They didn't show everyone who was walking out of that complex. I mean, there's just so many things that are left open-ended. I just didn't like it. I did like the whole idea with Priscilla, and Samuel Jackson and their character. I thought that was pretty smart and cool. But besides that, even the final battle was terrible.
Yeah.
I was all right, so we finally had 2 Super Skrulls, and you give me 6 minutes of it of just like Gaia wins. What?
And you know what? Even that just kind of fell out of place with, and that's exactly what I was getting at. Like even that Super Skrull versus Super Skrull showdown just felt so out of place for me. When you look at the rest of the series, we could have. I'm almost inclined to say we could have waited, as far as the Super Skrulls go.
Oh, I agree.
I would have been fine with waiting to see more, like the Super Skrulls in their full glory, or a Super Skrull in the Marvels or Fantastic Four down the line. It just kind of felt, like Marvel and Feige were saying, oh, like people expect a big showdown, so let's give the people what they want, rather than just bringing the narrative that they were building up full circle. It just fell out of place with the rest of the series for me.
Yeah. I forgot who, but somebody I was watching, they were talking about that was it didn't look too bad. It looked a little silly, but also if you're gonna stick it to the comic book, it is kind of silly where one arm something and the other arm is something else and your face is something else. Like that's how it is in the comic. So I didn't mind that part as much, and I think the CGI was good enough where I didn't like, oh, that looked bad, because it didn't look bad. But
I thought the CG was fine.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Somebody I watched though said that whole event felt unearned. Like, because it was going from everything was grounded in super spy and espionage and this and that. Then it went to like, oh, giant Super Skrull fight was like, wait, what? Like, it felt
It felt very obligated.
Yeah, like they needed to, and it should have been saved for a movie. Leave Gravik alone. Let him become a movie bad guy where you could really dive deep into him being bad, and then find a way to take him out. You know, whether it be somebody else become a Super Skrull or something like that.
It fell under that Marvel curse where a lot of the villains are treated as one-offs in narratives, and I was hoping we would move. Hello, El.
What's up, El? We already had your House of Nerd show shout out, so every time I see you, first thing I think is House of Nerd show. So yeah.
We had all three of them in the house today. So.
I know.
Yeah, I was hoping we were moving away from that, because that always has been a problem with Marvel.
Yeah.
Treating a lot of villains as one-offs and not letting them reach their full potential. There was room for Gravik. We could have seen more of him down the line. It didn't need to stop here.
More than that, I feel like the whole show was set up, and even what Samuel Jackson said, you know, everything that about me was given between my two ears and given to me by a single black mother, you know, who set all this stuff up. And then we didn't get anything super intelligent, super awesome about him at all.
There wasn't enough payoff.
And there was no payoff at all for him. So for a show that's all
hold that thought, fellas. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
For a show that's supposed to be all about him, nothing came out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there waiting for it, and we got nothing. And I was so very disappointed.
Yeah, I was hoping to get like, oh, we're gonna get old Nick Fury back, or or something like, or even a better version of Nick Fury. And he was the same Nick Fury, kind of a little less rusty that he was in the beginning of the show.
No, because that wasn't even him. He had a couple good shots, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The way it ended, who put it here? Sorry, wrong that one. The injustice of Gravik is insane. I thought they would have passed that Marvel villain problem. So that's what Brandon was saying, and the same thing was like, even the way, like the motivation for Gravik, I thought was silly. Even like, me and my girlfriend watched it, and it was like Gravik was like, "Oh, you made me kill people, and I feel like shit for it, and this is why I wear that face." I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy." And then he turns around, and that's why I have to kill every human. I was like, "What?" like
slow down, right?
Yeah, like you went from like, "Oh, I feel sad because you made me kill," to, "Well, now I'm gonna kill y'all." I was like, "Because of you, because you're gonna make me do it." I was like, that it seemed like he had a good reason to be the bad guy, and I enjoyed it. He's like, "You promised us and you didn't deliver. You're using us like we're just tools, we're pawns." Great. That's a great motivation for a young like person that's got trained by like, the greatest spy ever now. And then, and then feels betrayed. So I'm like, build on top of that. But instead they went kind of, I felt like the cheaper route where like, you made me do bad stuff. So now I got to do even more bad stuff, to make you like, I was like, and
yeah. And, for me, like that's not enough. We're at a point in the MCU where a lot of them, like there's enough, kind of widespread wiggle room, for villain motivation to go with something so generic.
No, I mean, I hated even more parts, even the whole part with the president. So Talos sacrificed his life to save the president, and then the president turns around and says, "All these guys are bad." Fuck
and goes like just full on like,
you're not
like he was radicalizing stupid. The public.
You're that stupid, and then you almost didn't. They saved everything, like because of one bad Skrull. You're gonna go ahead and say all of them. We're gonna radicalize the entire public. You made the world a worse place. It shows how bad humans really were. Like Nick Fury to walk away was right. Mm-hmm. Like what I thought in the end, I was like, Thanos was right. F all these guys.
Like, man. It just felt like they scrunched up too much into the wrap up. There was enough room for, and even if you want to, if you want to end this at 6 episodes, fine. But
Give me
there
a
was
good,
enough room, like you
give me
could
a
have left loose
52-minute
ends
episode to
and
tie up
like
everything.
enter this into other movies or other series, stuff like that, you know?
Exactly. It didn't tie anything in. It didn't give us anything for the Marvels, really. There's nothing good that came out of this. And I'm
No.
not happy.
It felt like it
Yeah.
was very self-contained, but it was forcefully self-contained.
Yeah. And that's the thing I don't get is like you're making your own show that you're putting on your own service, like your own streaming service. Why are you limiting yourself to just 6 episodes? Like, make them an hour long. Make 10 episodes. It's just it's so frustrating. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, you don't
Yeah,
have
at this point in
these
time, you have a
limits.
loyal enough fan base.
Yeah, and I think I think if this show would have had a great ending, it would have shut up all the naysayers. All the people are like,
Mhm.
"Oh, see, Marvel sucks now. Marvel sucks." But then they do this, and even people who like Marvel are like angry at it, And I'm like, because it just felt like it was building up to something good, and then it just. But even the whole point where Nick Fury,
I also thought Guy and Sonya. Oh my god, I thought that was
what are they gonna do?
so stupid.
Yeah,
I was like,
so
we're gonna do it, but we're not gonna have any emotion into it. What?
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
come on.
but even like, well, Nick Fury, where he's like, oh, I don't want to call any of the Avengers because this is my home, and if I got to take care of it, and blah 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 blah.
But he
Says
didn't
all
even
that.
take care of it.
Yeah, and then he has
And the
freaking
thing
Gaia do it.
the thing is, even though I was fine with them deviating from the original Secret Invasion storyline, it
Mhm.
would have been the sensible thing to at least include a few Avengers or a few like characters from the greater MCU if you're talking about that widespread um like that catastrophic an event.
Mhm.
It just kind of seemed like they really sabotaged themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
I
You
thought
know,
what I thought of with the whole thing with maybe he called Captain America, Sam, because he's once again not a superhero.
yeah,
Like there's so many things that they could have done, tying other future projects in. This is you have no COVID restrictions. You could have did anything with this to make this an epic final episode, and they did none of it. And I was just
oh yeah,
disheartened.
I think they started shooting this after COVID restrictions, so
oh
things
yeah,
were back to normal. So they have no excuse.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But even like,
No, it could have been so cool. Like it could have
yeah,
been so amazing, especially with the people that were involved. It just it never reached its entire potential, and I was
Even
hoping
the
things.
whole thing with the Kree and it just was kind of off. Like the Skrulls and the Kree, like, oh, they want to get to they want to talk with peace talks.
yeah,
Just seemed like it was off. That was off putting.
just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, what so you knew that the whole fucking time, Nick
Yeah,
Fury?
you couldn't tell Talos that. It was like that would have been helpful, like 5 episodes ago. It's like and that's why it's like you're mad at Talos for keeping the secret of like bringing more scrolls into the planet, but you could have easily told him like, you know what, we're in peace talks. I was like, oh, okay, like
Talos, let's fix this graphic
yeah,
thing
we
because
have a
we
plan.
have something. We have a plan. We're gonna talk with this stuff. We're gonna have 2 places that you guys could choose, and you guys, the young people, could choose a planet with them, and the older ones are gonna be able to stay here or any of that
Yeah.
stuff. We're gonna figure it out for you. None of that happened. I was like, man, this is so bad. I don't understand.
Yeah. It reminded me of the whole ending part of The Simpsons, where it was like when Poochie just leaves, like that's exactly what it was like, oh, where are you gonna go? Like she came to him and she goes, oh, where are you gonna go? He's like, oh, well, this whole time we had a plan, blah 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 blah, and and then he just like floats up into space. I was like what? And I was like, you had this information and you didn't do anything important with it until the end, where you tell your wife, like, Like, what is this like? The whole thing with the wife could have been solved. It was like, hey, you know what? I love you so much that I am finding you a home. That's why I was gone for so long. Blah blah blah. You know, like what? Like being a spy doesn't mean you just keep secrets from everybody. You know what I mean? It's like picking and choosing and using those secrets. Like that's what makes a spy, at least in movies and shit. So it was like that was stupid.
What made this series great was the dialogue, right?
Yes.
The dialogue, the back and forth, the character moments,
the
Yeah.
thoughts,
really
it pushed the narrative. Like this is what it was. It was so smartly well done. The character's development was so good. We're going to get back to Nick Fury. Nick Fury is going to use his brain to figure out this whole thing. And you know, we got none of it in the finale. So you really even hurt yourself for what you said you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You forgot what it was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
They just didn't stick the landing. You know,
they didn't just not stick the landing. They literally did 4 flips and fell flat on their face.
Yeah, the payoff. There was no payoff. They failed with it.
Yeah, there's no payoff. No payoff. And even like, so now they already said Armor Wars is not going to be a show. It's going to be a movie. Cool. I'm all for that. But now, if you didn't watch this show, you might not know what's going on with Rhodey in the movie. You know, so it's like,
well, I still don't know what's going on with Rhodey in the movie.
Yeah, because now they have to tell you when was the last time Rhodey was Rhodey. You know,
yeah, because they're going to have to couple Rhodey's trauma with the premise, which is Tony Stark's armor falling into the wrong hands. They're already saying Justin Hammer is going to be in Armor Wars.
Yeah,
you know, like
awesome.
I kind of feel like Armor Wars without Tony Stark is a bad idea.
But just this show was supposed to set up the future. These 3 shows, you know, they're supposed to all happen,
and they failed.
It
didn't do it.
For the Marvels. It didn't do anything for Captain America, and did nothing for Armor Wars. Nothing for all 3, and you had time to do it, and you didn't.
This was their chance to like kind of set up that next wave of, and they just didn't.
It was bad. They should go back. You never know when you turn in your homework or you do a test and it fails and the teacher says, you know what, go back, go study. Here's the book. Let's do an open book test. I want you to redo it in the morning. I want Marvel. I want you to redo it again. Give me a chance. I'm going open book test. Look at all the responses. I've never seen an episode be that low. Like have you guys looked at the Rotten Tomatoes for an episode, for one episode? This is the worst reviewed episode ever. I cannot believe what I saw. They did so bad. Even the people that were totally on board. I can't wait to talk on Chaos and tell them like, guys, we were wrong. It was awful. The whole thing was awful. Training good, and then just went. Psh.
So this actually went down. Well, it's only got nine reviews this episode, 11%. It was at 13 earlier, but it's got 9 reviews, so it's not like the most ever. But that's 11%. You know, but I mean, it's not just Rotten Tomatoes. It's everyone on the internet. You know, like Zach Millen. He was. I asked him if he couldn't join us today. I wanted him to come on because he was liking the show like us. You know, liking the show, really excited to see it every week like we were. And then, you know, he did not like the finale too. You know, so I go watch his review. You know, I'll put it up here somewhere. But yeah, you know, he was just like, yeah, it doesn't pay anything off. It doesn't say anything up. And unless you know what's going on with the Captain America movie where you're going to get a new president, but how are you going to explain that now? It's like, oh, this president, you know, decided to, you know, put up you don't like that person? Well, shoot him and see if they're a Skrull. It was like, that's the world.
Vigilantes all throughout the entire earth. And I mean, now it's almost like the whole Red Hulk thing was going to be like like you're gonna have this stupid president now. So it's like, well, you already ruined a president, so we'll just give you a war zone.
Yeah,
we're gonna make Earth a war zone with all these vigilante guys now.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end, you're making Gravik win. I mean, they could I mean, I don't even, would it save the show if you find out in the Captain America movie that the president was a Skrull? You know, like somehow, I don't know how they say it, and he still has the plan that Gravik wanted to do. Now
Could
they just
you
have to tweak it a little
imagine
bit.
even if they did all these things and I was unhappy, and then at the end of the show, they say, we get to Mr. President, Nick Fury hangs up the phone, and the president changes his face back to a Skrull. That would have been smarter. At least it would have been intelligent.
Yeah.
Nothing about this episode was intelligent, and I was very disappointed.
Yeah. No, it was very by the numbers and just generic. Like you could predict what would happen before it did. And I hate saying that because this is Secret Invasion we're talking about. This should have been like full of twists and turns and constantly kept us guessing, and with what was going on, and they took the easy way out, which I'm really disappointed with.
Of all the things I've heard, what do you think the next episode is going to be? This was the worst. Like, we had at some points in time, I think we had 9 or 10 people on the show talking about what you think might happen. And of all the things I heard, this was the worst example of what could have been.
Yeah. On the Chaos Central.
Yes.
Everyone's saying like, oh, how it's gonna end, what their theory was, and everyone had good ideas. Like, I would have taken anybody's idea on that panel, and then they give us this, And a lot of people are getting upset that like was it Gaia is now like this like all powerful person.
Yeah, she's a super Skrull.
Yeah, but I'm like, I kind of knew that was gonna happen.
I saw that coming.
I'm not upset about that because you can figure how to fix that later. Let's say it's whatever. And she's also a great character, not quite good, not quite bad, but she does the right thing usually. So but
yeah, and I was curious to see where they were going to go with her character. You hear rumors from all around the table, from her being Super Skrull to her being Abigail Brand from Marvel, and that's how they were gonna like usher in more mutants, and there were
they didn't save Nick Fury by letting her pretend to be what's her name
Gaia
no, being what's her name from the beginning
Hill.
Yeah, for Hill. Let her come back and pretend to be her. That could have been something. So Nick Fury's reputation never got saved. The president could have been a Skrull, and Nick Fury could have shot him on camera when he was doing all this stuff, and then we find that out, and that's why we have a new president. That would have got us into the Captain America. That would have been fine. Someone could have came from the Marvels, could have been there. Any of these things could have happened, and it set up.
It would have been a great bridge into the Marvels.
Yeah,
like, we had no bridge at all. It's like they's like, hey, instead of having 3 bridges, let's just burn it all down and making no sense. And that's what we got.
Yeah. You could have had Photon come in and save the day at the end, and then set up the Marvels. You know what I mean?
Photon would have made sense because the Marvels trailer shows them working together. And the newest trailer.
Yeah. And we haven't seen her full potential yet. We haven't seen her any potential besides a little bit in the Scarlet Witch show. WandaVision.
WandaVision.
So like, if you would have had her come in with the suit, being a badass, like, oh, I got you. I'll beat the shit out of Gravik for you. But not kill Gravik, but save him for something bigger later. But at least let the good guys win. Because then she's also human. Like she's not like a super powerful person. She's a shield person, a sword person. So it's like she is
pretty powerful now. But they could have done the same thing with Captain America, with Sam Wilson coming and doing it.
Exactly.
If you would have did with Sam, all that stuff would have kind of made it better. And Gravik with Sam, we find out that the president did all this, and then at the end, we find out he's a Skrull, and they kept Gravik alive. And there's some bad Skrulls and there's some good Skrulls, and we're gonna have that be what's going on going forward. And that's going to be the connecting tissue with all the rest of these things. So we're not going to give you bridges to everything, but at least if we have some connecting tissue, and it all makes sense now. And instead of it making sense, it made none. So that's why I'm disappointed. So
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with talking about this stuff because it's not worth any more time.
You're not kidding. All right, let's get some of the comments real quick. Let's see. Wrong, not that one. This one. Travis said, "There's a movie called. Sorry, wrong one too. I saw Secret Invasion. They that should have stayed secret. Yeah, yep. And then Xavier said, "I'm so upset with the ending because it was going so well. It was going so well. It was going so well." And then he also said, "This should have been a great setup to the next project, like we've been saying. Instead, some writer thought, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Yeah, huge mess. Yeah." Like, oh, it was like, because it's all about dialogue. We're like, okay, now we're going to have this crazy Super Skrull battle. You know, it was like, no, man, save that for a movie.
Yeah. Subvert expectations, keep people wanting more. Tell your story and tell it correctly. Yeah. We didn't need like a CG heavy battle near the end. I would have been content with them continuing just the way they were continuing.
I didn't even mind that, but they could have done, if they're going to do that, at least give us the graphic against Nick Fury. Nick Fury being the focus, because the entire show, Nick Fury was the focus, and then today they just said, "No, we're gonna let Guy do it." Bro, what? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
It was way out of left field.
Let Nick Fury use them, pull Gravik out, let Guy fight him. She subdues him. Let it be for that. Then the president sees it and says, okay, well, we do have good and bad. There's things that we could be doing. Or the president dies off. Or even we see Don Cheadle's character kill him and become something happens that they could have made this actually worth something.
Yeah.
And like all the death that we got, none of it mattered.
Yeah, that's what you killed off two great characters.
Yeah, all that stuff that happened. Maria Hill, with losing Talos, all that stuff. Everyone who died, none of it mattered. And it was just a huge mistake. It's like they just dropped a turd and said, "Here's the final finale."
And a lot of it doesn't make any sense. I was like, the last episode, you were just saved by a Skrull. And now because you're being manipulated, like, is it your ego? Or are you like, oh, I got taken advantage of. Screw you guys. Like, I don't know. It just
he was too
sense.
stupid. He was so stupid. Like, I'm gonna be super stupid now. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Travis said the last episode felt like a bad Purge sequel with fight scenes that could have been passed as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't mind the fight as much. I mean, it would probably look better if they put a little bit more budget, as in like a movie, into it. But also, that's kind of how Marvel has been doing right now with the CGI. So, but it wasn't bad. It was.
None of that bothered me, except for the fact that it didn't have anything to do with Nick Fury.
Yeah.
The whole thing was supposed to be about Nick Fury, and then they made it nothing about Nick Fury.
Yep.
So he didn't use his brain at all.
Yeah, the thing he said, like all he had. Yeah.
He was the guest star of his own show at times.
At the end, yeah. Mm-hmm. Trevor said the ending would have been more effective, I think, if it actually been Fury who confronts Gravik. Fury getting the powers of the people being brought together would have been a satisfying moment. I mean, something, man. Something.
And then giving it up or something like that.
Yeah.
And figuring out a way to give it up.
Yeah. You can have that moment where Gravik says Fury should be dead from that. Fury saying, you don't do what I do for as long as I have without some alien blood in your veins. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say not even alien blood, super soldier serum or something like that, because then you could have used another MCU show, that would have came in nice, I'll say the best parts of the show are the moments where characters tell stories about things that happened to them when they were younger. Yep. I often feel like the characters telling true stories. Yeah. Like the dialogue, like the parts that had feeling and emotions behind it, where they would talk to each other and stuff like that. The dinner scene with Gravik and Talos, great. The dinner scene with Rhodey and Nick Fury, great. Those weren't action. Those were just
Priscilla and Nick Fury.
Yeah, Priscilla and Nick Fury. Gaia and Priscilla.
And Gaia, exactly. It's like all that meant nothing.
Yeah. So, as much as I don't want to reveal Rhodey wasn't around in Endgame, there is a potential compelling story. Can you take ownership for the good deeds done in your name if you would have done them? It depends if that's when they get rid of Rhodey. So there's somebody in the chaos in our chaos central group where he is like, oh, see, I called it. He wasn't himself since Civil War, and I don't think that's the case. I think it was after Endgame. I think it was like, some.
I know it's at the end game because now I knew it because in my mind, in Endgame he needed help with walking. Right? You need
He
something
had
help for him to be able
the
to walk.
artificial,
And then
the
all of a
shark
sudden
tag.
now he's just walking around like nothing happened. Time is not going to heal your spine.
Yeah. Well, I thought didn't what's his name put something in his spine? Didn't he? Like Tony Stark.
For
put
him
something
to,
in.
he needed
Stark
help.
gave him the apparatus.
Give him the apparatus on his legs, but didn't he like put something on his spinal cord, like some nanobite thing that did something? Because I remember.
No, even when he said, because even when he was when they're battling Thanos and he was stuck under the ground and he had to say pineapple and got out of
canopy.
He got out of the thing. He couldn't walk. His legs weren't working.
Yeah.
All that, so that's why they carrying him out made sense again. So it was, it was after Endgame.
Yeah.
So all that, but they didn't explain any of those things. So it's just so much more of a waste.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. And even Skrull wouldn't have the reason to do that. Yeah, just like, oh, I'm gonna die. I don't care about you, so you die. Yep, that is true. I think Rhodey and others should have saved at the start of the episode. Real Rhodey being one of the ones to save the president, confronting Skrull Rhodey, asking questions only to the real one. That's what I thought they were gonna do. Like that scene in the hall of the hospital. Mm-hmm. That the real Rhodey was gonna come in somehow, like in a wheelchair or something.
That they used Gaia. Cool. So I thought Nick Fury was going to pull Gravik out, right? And have him out of there. You meet me at this location instead of me being there. And while Gravik's doing that, Gaia sneaks back in, saves all the people, pulls all of them out, and then Nick Fury uses his super brain to make Gravik do something stupid. And then he gives him that bullet, whatever. He even shoots it into him, and he finds out, or he gives it to him and says, "Okay, use it." He uses it on himself and finds out it has that boiling blood stuff that now takes all the stuff out of him. So now he no longer has the Super Skrull serum, and now he saves all the people. But he outthought him.
Yeah,
he didn't do nothing.
Yeah, because even when before you knew it was Gaia, when he's like, "Oh, here's the vial. Now leave." I was like, that's stupid. Like, what? I'm like, okay, at least it was Gaia that said that. But I thought that was.
Fury wouldn't say anything that stupid.
Yeah. Here's what you wanted. Now leave. He's like, go somewhere else. I was like, what? So I mean, yeah. Unless of course Skrull Rhodey values the lives of aliens over humans, makes sense. But I said, oh yeah, I don't think it was Skrull Rhodey during Endgame.
It wasn't, because I mean, obviously he had problems with his legs, and then all of a sudden the apparatus no longer needed. He was just walking around. He's cool. Like what? Okay, that's when you knew he was a Skrull. That was the big red flag.
Yeah. In Infinity War, he was wearing the leg braces things.
He was wearing the leg braces. He had them ever since Civil War. They make a direct line reference to it in Infinity War.
But they did it in Endgame because he came out of his thing as War Machine, and he said, "Okay, I can no longer run." He was crawling again, so he couldn't do it. So it just didn't make any sense for him to be walking around and not for that to be something that you're tying up.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't catch on to that. But by the way, I'm sure Wakanda could have helped the real Rhodey out with that. By the way, but yeah, I didn't even, for whatever reason, I didn't even stop to think about that, and it was right in front of our faces.
Yeah,
the whole time. But that's how I knew he was saying. I said it. Episode 3 is like, we know he's a Skrull. How do you know he's a Skrull? Because he's walking around.
Because he's walking. Like
you know what though? This was the Don Cheadle for the first time in the during his run in the MCU, like he really, really got to spread his wings acting wise. And he was one of my favorite things about Secret Invasion.
And then they ruined it with this stupid ass episode.
Yeah, just waste of actors.
Yeah.
Waste of great actors putting in work. Sam Jackson was putting in work. Don Cheadle was putting in work. Ben Mendelsohn was giving it his all. Emilia Clarke, the actors deserved a lot more.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna these last two comments, and then we'll move on to our ratings. Travis said, if they were going to have that twist, have real Rhodey ask the fake one who his best friend is. The Skrull correcting him, who was your best friend? Yeah, that's funny. That's the reveal of how long it's been. That would have been cool. Like, who was? Yeah. Mantis was at Tony's funeral. Given how close to Tony Roni was, everyone hugged or touched him, and we see her powers affect girls. Yeah, she would have detected it was him. Yeah. He would have detected if it wasn't who he said he was. Yeah.
I just thought that Samuel Jackson should have been there. He should have drew Gravik out, and then Gaia should have saved the president, changing his heart. And then understanding that there's good Skrulls and bad Skrulls. Yeah. And she's the one who saves him from John Cheadle. And Samuel Jackson does all the saving with Gravik because he's the reason that Gravik became who he was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that would have been great. It
would have been smarter.
Yeah, definitely. It would have fit more with what they were going with the show.
Yeah. It's almost like another person did that. You know how they have different creators for each episode, and then they just said the finale. There's like, we're going to give you a different person for this.
Hey, here's a brand new, like Josh Whedon came in at the end.
That's a good one right there. Josh Whedon came in. It's like, hey, hold on. Let's put Josh Whedon in. Let him do the finale.
All right. But yeah, that's it for this episode. We're gonna do the entire season rating. That should be fairly quick since we got most of our anger out right now. Yeah, but if you're watching live, stick around. We're gonna finish off with the entire season ratings. But if you're watching live, appreciate you guys. Let us know what you think about episode 6. Did it hit? Did it miss? Let us know what you think about that. And then also, click on and see what we say about the entire season. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, lets YouTube know we're doing some good stuff. But that is it for episode 6, the finale breakdown